Hey guys, it's Spaces Sims, and we are back with more Paradigm Paradox, continuing Ayamu's route. And we should be getting our happy ending in this part, because the title of whatever chapter we're in is Happy Ending. So then I scrolled up and there's no more choices, so we'll see how long that takes, but this should be our end part. I continued to mull over ideas after returning to my dorm, and we all know he's already in love with us because he's losing his powers, and we're not losing ours, so he doesn't think that we're in love with him, and it's adorable. In any event, I have to stop Haruka from going after Hyuga alone, and to do that, thinking things through made me realize I wasn't the only one who wanted to stop this. I should go meet with him tomorrow. The commander? Because he doesn't want to. Or Tokyo. Both would be valid. I made my way to Class 2C's room the next day during break. There he is. Ah. Hey, Tokyo, do you have a minute? There's something I need to talk to you about.
Really? All right, then let's go somewhere more private.
I think that'd be for the best. How about the chem lab prep room?
Sure, let's go.
We certainly couldn't talk about what was going on with his classmates right there, so we quickly moved to the prep room.
I assume this is about Ayamu.
Tokyo got straight to the point, so I did the same. Yes, I need to ask you about him. Or really, about Haruka. Ayamu told me you're Kaori, so I wanted your advice as the Bloom's leader.
I mentioned that he told you about our identities. Not saying Aramoka's though. Oh, that's me.
Not saying Aramoka's though, but that's why you're the only one I can talk to. You're also his best friend, so even if I knew who the others were, I would have come to you first regardless. I don't want Haruka to fight Hyuga alone, but I can't do anything about it by myself. And it's not just because of the researchers. Ayamu's dead set on doing it.
Yeah, that's how he is. He probably thinks he has to because of Ritsu. He can be more oblivious than he thinks. Sometimes it's like he thinks the whole world consists only of his parents, Ritsu and himself. It's irritating.
You know, he kind of almost has the same little pout that, Kaori has. Like mouth pout? No, Kaori has giant saucer eyes, but they still have the same little pouty face, and it's kind of adorable. Tokyo's impression was pretty similar to mine. I was happy to hear we were on the same page. I know what you mean. I was trying to help him, but he keeps wanting to handle things by himself.
I'm surprised to hear you say that. I thought you two were always fighting.
We were, but a bunch of stuff happened and we got pretty close. Then he just pushed me away again. I had to allude to how Ayamu and I felt about each other to explain what had been going on. It felt so awkward to say out loud, which showed in the hesitant way I spoke. Tokyo's eyes sparkled with interest.
Oh, I see.
Huh? What's that supposed to mean? I broke out in a nervous sweat, convinced he'd seen right through me and figured out what happened yesterday. But Tokyo paid me no mind.
Anyway, I didn't intend for Haruka to go it alone either, so I'm glad you're willing to help. Yesterday, Haruka couldn't use her full power. She acknowledged it, so I'm guessing she knows the reason why. Did Ayamu say anything to you?
Like what?
For example, that he likes you.
Huh? Oh, about that. The question so directly made me more nervous than ever. But Tokyo just continued talking.
Uh-huh. Your reaction confirms it. I understand why Ayamu's powers are weakened, and... Well, what about you? Do you like him too?
Me? How did the conversation get here? Despite my nerves, I realized there was no point hiding it from Tokyo. Yeah, I like him too. But Ayamu said he couldn't see me anymore, so I didn't know if I could ever tell him.
Well, your powers don't seem to be affected or anything like that.
Now that he mentioned it, I remember Ayamu asking me the same thing. I nodded.
When did you fall for Ayamu? Could it have just been after yesterday's mission?
I didn't know what he was driving at, but I had a feeling an answer was important, so I considered it carefully. I only realized it after the mission yesterday, but I think I fell for him much earlier. At the very least, I'd felt this way since I thought to give him that ring.
That's strange. Well, then again, you've been a little odd from the start.
Tokyo fell into deep thought for a while. Then he started rifling through the pockets of his uniform. What are you doing?
I think I'm gonna bet on you. You just might be able to save Ayamu.
There's something we can do? I couldn't hold back my excitement. Tokyo nodded.
I'm not entirely sure it'll work, though. Hold out your hand. My hand?
My brow furrowed with skepticism as Tokyo took a razor and a test tube from his pocket.
Wait, what's that for? I need you to cut your finger and give me a drop of your blood.
Why?
I told you it's to save Ayumu. Just a little nickel will suffice. Come on.
I was taken aback by his rather abrupt request, but I'd do it if it could help Ayumu. All right, this good? I cut my fingertips slightly and squeezed a drop of blood into the test tube.
Yeah, thanks. Here, let me get that.
In one swift movement, wow, Tokyo cleaned my cut and put a bandage on my finger. Put your glasses back on. He's still beautiful, but with your glasses on. Goddamn ridiculous.
I'm gonna do some research. If my theory's correct, and then Ayumu might be able to temporarily recover some of his powers. And even if we can't do that, we can avoid the worst case scenario.
You mean if Ayumu loses to Hyuga?
That's part of it. Basically, if Ayumu continues to use his powers in his current state, something bad will happen.
What do you mean? Are there other potential side effects from transforming into a woman?
Yeah, basically, as long as he's having these issues, Ayumu can't use his full powers. He told me that things have been especially bad lately. Considering what may happen if he tries to use more of his powers, he might hesitate to go all out, but if he doesn't, he won't be able to win against Hyuga.
In other words, helping Ayumu means helping him recover his powers, even temporarily.
Correct. And your blood might be what we need. So I'm gonna put my theory to the test. I'll also tell Seina and Mocha what's going on. That's better they know so we can get their assistance too.
You're right, but do you just need my blood? Is there anything else I can do? Do you just need my blood? Sorry.
I need you to convince Ayumu not to fight Hyuga alone, even if he's ordered to. If he has to go, make sure he contacts either you or me beforehand.
Tokyo gave me only one task, but I felt like it'd be the most difficult one. Ayumu has no intention of seeing me, so even if I go to him, it might not work. I conveyed my concerns to Tokyo, but he insisted.
Doesn't matter if he said that. You're the best person for the job. That's why I'm counting on you. I'm asking you as his best friend.
Once Tokyo said that, I knew I had to do it. I fought with Ayumu so much already. One measly rejection shouldn't make me back down. I'm doing this to save him. All right, leave Ayumu to me. Later, after school, I waited for someone I'd contacted earlier.
Emily!
No, you weren't. I just got here too. Rizzy smiled at me, though she was slightly out of breath. Thank you for coming. I know this all came out of nowhere, so you're probably surprised.
Not at all. I suspected my brother was doing something dangerous. And that he was doing it for me because of something involving my parents. So I wasn't surprised at all when you contacted me. I'm actually glad I can do something for him.
I knew you'd want to help your brother.
Yeah.
I figured that I'd need replacement Lizzie's help to stop Ayumu, so I told her a good deal of what was going on. I couldn't tell her about the blooms, but I did say Ayumu was doing something because their parents ordered him to. There was a complete word missing there. And that it was dangerous and shouldn't be done alone. I think she knows I didn't tell her everything, but Rizzy still believed me. Knowing she was also concerned about Ayumu motivated me even more. Tokyo, myself, and some other friends are going to help Ayumu, so I want you to assist me in persuading him. I don't want him to just bottle everything in. He needs to realize he can rely on the people around him.
I understand. You can count on me.
It struck me that Rizzy sounded really dependable just then. She doesn't need protecting anymore. I hope Ayumu can realize that.
Hello, Ayumu.
Oh, you're here. Why did you want to meet so suddenly? Is something wrong?
I tried asking you.
I tried to ask you about it, but you just kept saying you'd tell me once you got here. That's not like you.
Sorry, that's my fault. I stepped into the room, interrupting their conversation. Ayumu started with surprise.
Why are you here? I thought I told you I wasn't going to see you anymore.
Even so, you can't stop me from coming to you. You never said I couldn't see you after all.
That's a mere technicality.
I don't care. Besides, right now, Rizzy wants to speak with you. Just hear her out.
So you do actually need something, Ritsu.
Yes, that's right. I'm here of my own accord. I know you're striking some sort of deal with our parents to protect me.
Did you tell her?
Ayumu turned back on me in surprise, and I shook my head. No, Rizzy's known for a long time, but she didn't say anything about it.
You underestimate me, Ayumu. I can find out what you're up to pretty easily if I want. I know you go to the research district a lot and that you're helping our parents with their research. And I found out what you've been doing is extremely unsafe. I also know you did it all to protect me, but I want you to stop.
Stop? I've been doing this my whole life, and you want me to stop now?
Ayumu, I know you think that I give your life meaning, but living like that will make you lose sight of your own life.
My life? I don't care about that so long as you're happy, Ritsu.
That's not good enough!
Ritsu snapped back in a way she never had before. Ayumu and I were equally shocked by her boldness.
I'm not happy just being protected. I've wanted to tell you that, but he couldn't because I didn't want it to feel like your efforts were going to waste. But now I know other people are just as worried about you. That gave me the courage I needed.
Replacement Lizzie glanced over to me, and I nodded encouragingly.
I don't need you to protect me anymore, Ayumu. I'm much stronger than you think. In fact, I'm going to become so strong you'll depend on me. That's why I want you to take better care of yourself.
Ritsu! Ayumu didn't bother hiding how stunned he was by Rizzy's sudden display of strength. I decided it was time I said something, too. Ayumu, if you have any desire to take care of yourself, I want you to reach out to us.
Reach out?
Yeah, you're still trying to bottle everything up inside. But if you reach out to those around you, you'll find there are plenty of people willing to help. Rizzy, Tokyo, and me.
But I can't let you help. Being close to you will weaken my powers. I won't be able to fight like this.
Well, about that, Tokyo said he's trying to figure out something with your powers so they don't weaken. Ayumu's eyes widened when I told him that.
I don't think that's possible even for Tokyo. What's he going to do?
Ayumu clearly had his doubts, and I couldn't tell him anything definitive. I don't really know anything about his methods, and Tokyo said he wasn't sure it would work. But I believe Tokyo would do everything in his power for his best friend. I don't know how it'll work, but he said my blood was key. Your blood? Yep. Honestly, I can't imagine what he's going to use it for. But my blood could potentially solve your issues. It might help you recover your powers.
Really? Are you sure about that?
I can't say for certain, but I believe in Tokyo.
I want to believe in him. I really do. But even if Tokyo tries his utmost, I'm having a hard time believing he can pull a solution out of thin air.
Now he's going to pull it out of his ass. It'll be fine. There were people trying to help Ayumu. That was an undeniable fact, and one I felt I should point out to him. I mean, it's not impossible.
It feels like a fantasy. Besides, it's not like people have gone out of their way for me in the past.
After a moment, Ayumu seemed to relax and open up a bit more.
Well, I suppose someone might have, and I refused to acknowledge it. Looking back, that's what you were trying to tell me, right? You said I was rejecting people's kindness, and you got mad at me and said it wasn't a good thing to do.
Ayumu saying that reminded me of all the fights we had, and I couldn't help but laugh. So much has happened between us. Don't you think we can trust each other a bit more now?
More than a bit.
Ayumu then quietly reached his hand out to me.
I absolutely trust you. You came to help me even though I tried to push you away. You didn't give up on me. All right, I surrender. I'll believe in you and the people you believe in too.
Ayumu's outstretched hand still wore the ring I'd given him. He didn't take it off. Well, no, because he loves you. He kept it on even after he'd said he'd never seen me again. That told me all I needed to know about his feelings, and I felt a swell of emotion in my chest. Kiss.
Maybe my happiness is you.
Ayamu whispered that to himself while looking at the ring. I hope so. I reached out and grasped Ayamu's hand tightly. All the while, Rizzy looked on, grinning from ear to ear. I know, we're having this romantic moment, and I was like, she's still in the room, right? Yeah, girl's over there watching. A few days later... Are you ready, Haruka?
I can go at any time.
Roger that. According to our recon team, Hyuga's heading toward Theta. If possible, I want you to fight outside Theta. It's likely going to be a fierce battle. I'm worried about your powers, but you have to focus right now.
I know. I'll head out and leave the rest to you.
We've got your back. He's here. Haruka's already deployed. Now hurry. Huh. How about your lonesome, eh? You sure like to underestimate me.
I'm alone because I can take it myself. Enough chatter. Let's fight.
I see you want to get straight to dying. I'll give you what you want then. You'll regret underestimating me. In hell! Ah! Huh. You actually thought that kick would land? Ah! Eat lead! Ah! Is dodging all you can do? What about those flames of yours? If you want to attack, I'll just keep coming for you.
Flame dust!
Huh? It's that measly fire. I see. Now I get it. You weren't going easy on me that other time. Your power's crapping out. You really thought you could beat me with that? You are underestimating me. Enough now. Yeah, time to meet your maker. Hold it right there! Right at the last moment, I launched some debris at Hyuga with my psychokinesis, injuring him. It wasn't a very powerful hit, but he staggered because he hadn't seen me. He'd been too focused on Haruka.
You're not supposed to come out this far. You promised to stay back and provide support.
Kaori told me to come to you because the remedy won't make it in time. I relayed what Kaori had said, and then we heard her hailing us.
Haruka, she's got a cut on her finger. Lick it.
Lick her wound. I know, we're like, wait a minute. There's no time to explain, but suffice it to say, if you do it, you'll be able to use flame dust again. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Hyuga starting to recover, so I held out my finger. Haruka also noticed him and nodded at me. Yeah, I knew this is awkward. You're like, I can't believe you did that. Ew, I was joking. No.
Fine. All right. Is that all I need to do?
Yep. I think you should have gotten your powers back. I think you should have gotten your powers back temporarily. Try it out. Oh, okay, so he licked our finger. Okay, they didn't say anything about it. Aside from, like, do it. And he's like, is that it? Yeah. I guess he did.
Would you cast Augment on me before I do? I want to go at him with full strength.
Okay. I focused all my attention on helping Haruka. This fight was a turning point for Ayumu. With that at the forefront of my mind, I grasped Haruka's hand and wished with all my heart that she would win. It's done.
Thanks. Here goes. Flame dust!
Haruka thrust out her hand right as Hyuga pulled the trigger on his gun. Haruka released a tremendous scorching flame that swallowed Hyuga's bullet before it reached us. Like, are they actually going to kill Hyuga? I can't believe I've been beaten by mere puppets like you. After devouring the flames... Wow. After devouring the bullet, the flames flew straight toward Hyuga, engulfing him as he attempted to retreat. Oh, wow. Ah, we're really going to kill Hyuga. Hyuga's screams echoed from behind the wall of flames, but the loud crackling of the fire soon drowned them out.
Did we do it?
Oh, that was me. Did we do it? We actually killed Hyuga. Holy shit.
Yeah, I think so.
Are you okay? Haruka staggered, so I rushed to prop her up. She breathed heavily in my arms.
I think I used too much of my powers.
You should rest. Oh, but how are you feeling? Tokyo's never told me what the problem was besides your powers weakening.
Yeah, I might be in bad shape. Didn't he say I could use your blood?
Do you think you need more? Maybe you should take some again. But, I tried to hold on my hand, but I couldn't really do it because I was holding Haruka up. I fidgeted a bit before Haruka gave an exasperated sigh.
Your blood. Meaning, I just need something that comes from you. And then how about this?
Are you going to kiss me? Haruka reached her hand out to me. Huh? She wrapped her hand around my head and pulled me close, and then... Oh, I was like, are we going to get a kiss from Haruka? Like, no, okay, we get our CG or freaking Ayamu CG at least kissing us. Because I was like, I'm like, is he gonna kiss us as Haruka? Because that's kind of hot a little bit. Like, listen. I am not the person who wants, like, I know there's a lot of people who want, like, your side girl routes when they're like, oh my god, let me date my friends. I'm like, I don't want the girlfriend routes. Like, the lesbian routes. Because I'm like, I'm not interested in girls like that at all, so it wouldn't do anything for me. But, like, magical boys, or whatever, who turn into magical girls, like, that's different. Like, you know, there's something about that I'm like, I'm okay with that. Yeah, because, you know, then you can have your, like, lesbian romance if you really want it, but you still got your boyfriend, and they're the same damn person. So, like, same thing. It was so sudden, I barely knew what happened. But when Ayamu pulled back and I saw the impish grin on his face, I finally understood what was going on. It's faster this way. Look at the look on his face. She looks like a little like, why would you do that? People are looking. She looks a little mad, but he looks like, I don't know. The look on his face is so good. What? That was a kiss? And you de-transformed. Yeah, I just needed a substitute for your blood. Anything would have sufficed. That's a terrible thing to say. I pouted at him, but that just made Ayamu laugh. It's cute. Sorry. I only said that because I wanted to see you make that face. I did it because I wanted to. Because I still like you. That's not fair. First I'm terrible, now I'm unfair. It seems I'm particularly good at vexing you. But I'm glad to even be arguing with you. You're here with me. I had no idea how happy that would make me. And the problem that was worrying me seems to be resolved, all thanks to you. After Ayamu finished speaking, I heard someone nearby clearing her throat.
I don't want to interrupt, but if you're not transformed anymore, you better head inside Theta before the air gets to you.
I'd completely forgotten that Kaori and the others were there. Oh, right. Oh, that's me. All right, Sana and Mocha have something for you. A protective suit delivery. I didn't notice that Sana and Mocha had also come over and were now handing Ayamu a protective suit. The suit would ensure the outside air couldn't harm him since he was in his regular form. Put it on quickly. Theta's right there, but it'll still take a little time to get back. And, what kind of relationship do you two have exactly? Relationship? Wait. Now that I think about it, I never told Ayamu how I feel about him. As my thoughts crashed into one another, Ayamu took the protective suit and put off answering Sana for the time being. I'll talk about that later. For now, let's just get back. Oh, yes, quite. Sana didn't pursue the matter further, so I tried to focus on something else. Once things calmed down, I'll go and talk to Ayamu again. There were so many things to discuss, like what Ayamu was going to do, and what that would mean for our relationship. Anyways, Ayamu's going to stay on with the Blooms as an advisor. Hello again. Do we really have to transform for today? That was sounded more Sana than Mocha. Do we really have to transform for today? It's the rule, Mocha. Nothing to be done about it.
I don't mind either way.
Tokyo's like, whatever. Boy, girl, I don't give a shit. And, like, look at his stupid face. I love Kaori's facial expressions, I really do. Like, she looks like a Muppet all the time, but it's, like, adorable. I had a feeling you'd say that, Kaori. A few days after the battle, the commander and Ayamu summoned us to the command center. Ayamu remained in his regular form. Everyone else transformed like usual. The Blooms members, the commander and Rio, were all present, so it felt strange for Ayamu to be that way. He hasn't been coming to school, so I haven't seen him in a while. I was relieved to see he was doing just fine, but I was just as surprised as everyone else that he appeared before us as himself instead of Haruka. So did your powers vanish in the end? Yes, I've taken a variety of tests and it seems that way. Then we won't see Haruka anymore. It's kind of sad when you put it like that. I may look different, but I'm still the same person. And being here as myself may end up a bigger help to you all. Ayamu went on to explain this turn of events. My powers were already going before that fight, and because I forced myself to use them, I went past my limit.
Honestly, there's a very real possibility that I could have died, but I didn't. Thanks to her.
Everyone turned and looked at me, and I felt a blush spring to my cheeks. Look at the way Mocha's looking at you. With her adorable face. What happened then anyway? By the time Mocha and I arrived, it seemed everything was over. Yeah, we just saw this ginormous wall of fire, and that's about it. You said it was thanks to her. Oh, so did she do something besides casting augment on you? Well, about that. I paused, wondering how much I should say, but Ayamu took over.
It's a secret.
What? You can't not tell us after all that. She's absolutely right.
I could explain it, but then I'd have to talk about her genetics and go into some complex mathematical formulas. It could take a while. Let me see. I think it'd take at least 2 to 3 hours.
Sana and Mocha froze. Yeah, it would not. She is more magical girl than you are. Okay, that sounds like a pain.
To put it simply, she has a special trait. We were able to use it to our advantage and help Ayamu.
Kaori concluded with that, and Sana and Mocha nodded as if they understood. They're like, good enough. All right, I shall not ask any more details on how it worked out the way it did. But in exchange, you must keep your word about helping us.
Of course. I don't intend to leave things as they are with the blooms. It's my hope that you'll eventually lose your powers too, and we can all live a normal life. To achieve that, I'll act as a bridge between you and the researchers. I won't let them take advantage of your powers for their own ends.
You know, it's actually good for him that way. Hearing Haruka say stuff like this is making me feel all warm and fuzzy. Agreed. You've changed, haven't you? For the better, of course.
I couldn't have done it alone. I was able to change because I had support. I'm grateful to you all. Thank you for coming to my aid when I was fighting Hyuga. You made me realize that I wasn't alone. So thank you.
We all beamed in response, knowing that our team had become stronger than ever.
Well, that's all I wanted to say. Spacey, do you have a moment?
Sure. It had been a while since we'd seen each other, so there was a lot I wanted to talk about.
And then let's go outside. I'd like to get some fresh air.
It's so nice out. I shouted excitedly once we were outside, and Ayamu grinned at me.
Yeah, there aren't many people around, so it's a good time to talk.
So why all the secrecy? Though after I said that, I realized we obviously couldn't talk about what happened with Haruka and Ayamu in public. But then Ayamu said something I wasn't expecting at all.
I wanted to ask you about your parents.
Mine? Not yours?
And that's right. If memory serves, they passed away a while ago, right?
Yeah, they died when I was very young. I don't even remember what they looked like.
What were their names? Did they possibly work in the research district? Well, wait, I suppose they might not have.
When he asked me their names, I was surprised to realize that I actually didn't know. Interesting, because at one point we did know our parents' names. Which other route? I only thought of them as Mom and Dad. Now that I think about it, I never asked Uncle Yashima about that even once.
I'm guessing you don't know.
Yeah, sorry. I think they were researchers, but I don't know if they worked in the research district. We knew. We said something about our parents' names. It was either... Who did we ask? Oh, we asked Hyuga. That's interesting. So we knew our parents' names and Hyuga's route. And he was like, and we were like, oh, they were researchers. Did you know them? And he's like, they would have been like, but they would have died long before he showed up in the, well, he's 24. So whatever. But still, they would have died probably before because they died when I was a baby. What was he going 7, 8 years old going to the research district? You know what I mean? My guardian never told me their names either. But why are you interested in my parents? Ayamu looked troubled when I asked that, and he paused for a moment.
It's nothing big, but not even Tokyo understands the special trait you have. I thought we might be able to unravel the mystery if we looked into your roots. But if you don't know, it's probably best we leave it alone.
Because our parents were science experiments and we're a product of a science experiment. We're you know what I mean? It's everybody else is experiments, but we're the baby of an experiment. So that's different. It's an inherited trait as opposed to a modified one. You know what I mean? Tokyo's parents, I'm assuming, genetically modified him as well, as Ayamu's parents did to him, whatever. They experimented on their fetuses. But we were born of two people that had powers, if what we know about that escaped couple is true. You know what I mean? So we're like second generation Vector as opposed to everybody else that's injected with these powers. So we were born with it. And not because we were injected in the womb type of a thing. That's what I meant. Because technically Ayamu was born with his powers, but that's because his parents did weird shit to him when he was in the womb, so. It was possible Uncle Yashima would tell me if I asked. Perhaps he meant to, but never got around to it. But for some reason I agreed with Ayamu and thought it would be better to leave things be. Yeah, I think I'll probably find out at some point, but I don't think I need to know right now. Not for a couple more routes. Wait, so what's all this about my trait? Tokyo suggested that my blood might work for you, but he never did tell me what made him think of it.
Before we get to that, let me explain what's been going on with me.
Yeah, he's like, before we get to you, let's talk about me. Okay, sure. A slight digression, but it really was the topic at hand.
So my problem, as Tokyo mentioned, was that if I used too much of my powers, I wouldn't have been able to change back into my regular form.
What? You mean you would have stayed as Haruka permanently?
That's right. In previous missions, if I used my powers too much, it would just take me a little bit to de-transform. But from a certain point, it kept taking longer to undo. I noticed that the more my powers deteriorated, the more it happened.
Now that you mention it, they're getting weaker. So you're saying you didn't purposely hold back today?
That's right. I was fighting at full strength. I don't think I'll be able to undo my transformation for a while, if you want proof.
I remember that though Haruka was often fatigued, there was a time she couldn't de-transform. So that means it was really dangerous for you when you last fought Hyuga.
Yeah, even if I survived, I would have used up my powers and likely been stuck as Haruka.
Wow. It hit me how close he was to losing everything. Fear of what might have happened and relief that it fear of what might have happened and relief that it didn't came crashing over me at the same time. Should have been a comma there. By the way, do you know why my powers weakened? The way you said it makes it sound like I'm the reason. Is that true? He heaved a deep sigh when I asked that.
You still don't remember. Not after hearing about my situation and what Tokyo said. I'm sure that'd make the commander cry.
The commander? Mentioning the commander made me remember something he said a while ago. Oh, you're talking about the Bloom's rules.
Of course. Remember, we're not supposed to have romantic relationships. Our powers weaken when we fall in love. Basically, because I have feelings for you, my powers started to fade. Sounds like you're the reason to me.
Sorry. I apologized since I felt bad about it, but then Ayamu furrowed his brow with concern.
That's not what I meant. I wasn't looking for an apology. I just wanted to convey how much I like you. I let you go once before, so I know I might not be in any position to say this. But I wanted to tell you how I felt one more time.
Thanks, I'm flattered. I was overjoyed Ayamu was still alive and that we had a chance to be together. Heck, I'm flattered! Sounds like you're gonna reject him! Could things have worked out any better? Ayamu continued speaking as I mused on this happy turn of events.
I guess it makes sense that you had trouble remembering we couldn't be in relationships. Before you joined the Blooms, the commander told Sena and Mocha directly what would happen to their powers if they fell in love. But he was vaguer with you for some reason.
See, but that makes me think the commander knows who I am. But then again, it's not because... But the commander might have had a hand in it. I think the professor's the one that freed my parents because that's why... And then he defected. But, we know the commander and the professor work together and they still communicate. So... I think we learned that in Yukonami's route, right? Don't they still communicate? Not just through Rio?
I've thought about it, but couldn't come up with a good reason. It's curious. The commander seems to give you preferential treatment a lot.
Does he? Ayamu said that, but all I could think about was the commander's usual carefree attitude. I wasn't really convinced he treated me differently. But it was also true he didn't tell me straight out that my powers would fade if I fell in love.
Anyway, to get back to your special trait.
Ayamu smiled at me, but the sudden change of subject made me feel overwhelmed for some reason.
Tokyo figured it out. He must have compared the two of us and came up with a theory. But I know Tokyo wouldn't want to test your blood if all he had was a theory. Which means he must have confirmed things first. About whether you were in love.
Huh? Oh! I see. My powers don't weaken even when I fall in love. I might have been slow on the uptake, but now I knew what Ayumu was trying to say. I hadn't been direct with either him or Tokyo.
What did you say to him? I think I have a right to know.
As he drew closer to me with that smile on his face, I figured out the real reason why I felt overwhelmed. You know, I haven't told Ayumu how I feel about him yet, but... Ayumu, I only told Tokyo because of everything that was going on. It happened after you said you wouldn't see me again, so I thought I'd miss my chance to tell you. I pouted a bit as I explained, and Ayumu went from smiling to sulking.
I know what I'm asking is unreasonable. But I was mortified that Tokyo heard about your feelings before I did.
Actually, Ayumu looks a little... cute. I let slip what I was thinking, and Ayumu's entire face flushed bright red.
Me? Cute? You sure have a habit of saying what I least expect.
Sorry, it's just... you were sulking like a little kid. Speaking of which, Ayumu suppressed his real self since he was 4. And it was probably unusual for him to talk about his feelings so honestly with someone like he was now. I'd like to open up to him, too. If he wants to know how I feel about him, then I'll just tell him. Ayumu, I want to tell you how I feel.
Okay.
I like you, too. I don't know when it started, but you've become very dear to me. I want to be with you. I've fallen for you.
Thank you for telling me. I'm glad you did. Here, hold out your hand.
I did, and Ayumu slipped a familiar-looking ring on my finger. Better not be the one I gave you. Is this?
Yeah, it matches mine.
How adorable. I was like, it better just be a matching one.
Since I lost my powers, I can't fight the vectors like I used to. But now I'm going to focus on fighting my parents and the researchers to protect you from unwarranted battles.
Ayumu, Rizzy and I aren't just people that need protecting. I was worried he was going to do something rash again, but Ayumu just gave me a soft smile.
I know. That's why I want us to be together and support one another. We can mutually protect each other. I think that would work well for us. You said you wanted to be with me, so I'm not going to try and take on everything myself anymore. But I also don't want to only be reaching out for help. If someone's down or needs support, I want to be able to reach out and help them too. That goes double for you.
Yeah. Tears sprung to my eyes as Ayumu grasped my hand tightly.
Whenever you're in pain, I'll reach out to you. You've made my life better, so I'll do the same for you. I promise I'll make you happy.
If I reached out, someone would take my hand. It may sound simple, but for us, getting to this point had been a long and difficult road, definitely. That was why I cherished the warmth from his hand. I hoped I always would.
Let's stay together, always.
I didn't think that was a bad route. I kind of liked it. He's very overprotective of his sister, but I don't necessarily blame him for that. You know what I mean? Activity album. Oh, this is the one that we can't... Okay, so only the last 2 are 2. Because this is the one that goes back when you... Ugh, it's so annoying. Yeah, okay, so... I mean, he starts out as a huge dick. Don't get me wrong. But, like, you know, that's the enemies to lovers kind of thing. And, like, whatevs. We're used to guys being huge douchebags, right? And hi, you kind of pushed us against a wall, like the door in the room. Like, I'm into that. Yeah, I like it. Who doesn't? Come on. Come on. Like, was this the one that there was 2 of? No, there's not. Okay. I do think it's interesting because I don't remember getting a sprite with like a CG with anybody else in their lady girl forms. You know what I mean? Like, this one's cute. Like, it's adorable. That's a cute one. And then, of course, I do like this version of it. It's, like, really cute. But, okay, so I want to read what... Because, again, like, I read the little bullet points because those aren't really spoilery, so Syscon just no. He's a student council president because of his upstanding reputation. He's principal because of his status in the academy. However, only people he consigns himself to are his best friend and his younger sister, who he overly dotes on a regular basis. He transforms into Haruko as the ability of pyrokinesis. Okay, that's just a little about. This is interesting. These are her thoughts. Rarely do I ever get repulsed by an Otome route, but apparently there's a first time for everything, huh? Surprising since I'm not usually someone who gets squicked by anything, but oh man, this route really pushed all my buttons. I'm kind of curious how, like, I mean, again, for the Syscon thing and the bullet point, I was concerned, but like, I really didn't get that vibe. It was the super overprotective brother, not in a creepy kind of way. It was like a, whoa, you need to simmer down. You're a little psycho, but not, ew, gross, you know? Ayumi's constant sister simping in front of the harem was just all sorts of uncomfortable. I didn't get that. Am I crazy? Like, okay, listen. We know that I'm weird because I like it when my brothers fawn over me in games, but like I didn't get him like simping over his sister. He was just being very overprotective of her, and it was like, okay, it bordered on a little weird, and some of the phrasing was a little off. But I didn't think it was like over simping where it was like oh, I think my main concern was reading those bullet points and being afraid that it was going to turn into something creepy and inappropriate based on those bullet points, but it never did to me, honestly. And I don't know if I would have felt that way if I hadn't read her bullet points. I think I would have been like, I'm concerned, but okay. I don't think I would have been as concerned or would have felt red flaggy at all if I hadn't read that. I think she's completely fucking off base. Like, I mean, it's one thing to be reading it. If something makes you uncomfortable, it makes you uncomfortable regardless. You know what I mean? But like, I don't know. Like, I didn't get that vibe at all. Like, who in their right mind thought this was cute? Not only was his sister complex creepy as fuck, I really didn't see that either. He was a jerk to the heroine, even when he was transformed into Haruka. He deliberately tried to hurt her all because Yuki was growing close to his younger sister. I mean, that I get. I get that being like, what the fuck? But we've dated worse, so unless she's absolutely, like, never liked any of the douchebag characters. Now, I don't normally read all these, but I was curious about this one. But, like, unless you've never liked Yang or any other douche character, you can't really hate on Ayumu for being a little bit of a cunt. You know what I mean? Because, like, he just fits the vibe of those characters, so whatever. The romance was extremely abrupt. They're all abrupt, though. Completely being hostile to liking her in a span of just a day was awkward. I'm not buying it. Yeah, like... Yeah, I don't know. I don't get that at all. I didn't get that at all. I feel like that's very unnecessarily hateful, to be fair. I mean, I think the other ones have been very good, like the Yukonami and the Hugo ones. Like, yeah, I can kind of see that. All of the romance comes out of fucking nowhere, to be fair, to, like, the game. Because they're only, like, 5-hour-long parts. So, you can't really be like, the romance comes out of nowhere. Yeah, that happens in all the routes, though. Like, I don't really feel like that's a good nitpick of an individual route so much as the game itself. But for Kamui, it's Genki, green tea enjoyer. Quite surprised by how much I liked Kamui's route more than I expected. He was adorable and very kind to the heroine, and their bonding moments were delightful to watch. I also enjoyed his little backstory. His guilt of a grandpa raised him so well. It was also touching how he tries to do his all as Saint of the Balloons just to see everyone at Theta safe, and while he carried with him a gloomy past, he never trauma dumped his baggage, unlike the other guys, and to me that's what made his route stand out. I don't really feel like anybody trauma dumped either. They tell you their past. How is that trauma dumping? I mean, to be fair, yes, I guess you could call it that, but it's like, otherwise, how are you getting their backstory if they don't tell it to you? And she never knows it. So, like, you could stand on the middle and be like, oh, well, it's trauma dumping. Or then be like, oh, it's really nice, their backstory. Like, it's great that they told us their backstory. So I kind of feel like her review of this game is coming from a very, like, I hate to say a crabby place. I absolutely love her guides, don't get me wrong. And, like, generally, like, I think her overall synopsis and everything and thought on the game is valid. Like, you know, it's really short, quick to the whatever. But now reading these, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like it's like me when I go through certain routes and I'm, like, not in a good mood and I'm over harsh. And then I'm like, yeah, that was me. There's one in particular that's coming up in our other game that I was particularly douchey about. And I'm sorry, because I recorded it over the last couple of days before we got here. So I don't know time-wise when they're roughly probably going up around the same time. But I can particularly point to that and be like, yeah, I was extremely unfair and like bitchy about the whole thing because it's like, no. And you know what I mean? Like you can't help it. Your emotions just take control and you just harshly misjudge things. I kind of feel like that's what's happening with this because like some of the things are fair, but I don't feel like everyone's trauma dumping. Yes, I guess you could say that, but also, how else are we getting this information about their backstory that she, as the main character, is going to know unless I guess if you had a thicker, longer, juicier game, she could find out their backstory without them telling her, but this is the way they did it, so I wouldn't really call it trauma dumping or blame the characters for that. I would just blame they made a short game and they kind of forced them into that, so. I guess it's just me not being annoyed by it. Or you could call it trauma dumping, but like, she just seems annoyed by it. Mihaya is soon. Kansai Ben Magical Girl. Okay. I think I enjoyed his route too, or perhaps I was biased since Junya Inoki voiced him. Okay, yeah, because we didn't hear the voice, but you know. Similar to Kamui's route, he and the heroine worked as a team. I thought they had some solid moments and made their teen romance believable, so I can't exactly complain as far as that. Mihaya and the MC went through the same ordeal and were able to confide in each other. I thought their chemistry was kind of nice. Their last confession scene was super. Apart from that, the other events in this route were unfortunately forgettable. I didn't think his route was bad. I do agree Kamui's route is the best. I really question the, judgment on this route. Because I was expecting it to be worse just based on the Siscon thing. Like, oh god, he's going to be like that. But I didn't get that vibe at all. Again, there were moments and lines, but I don't know, like, were they really concerning, like, oh, okay, we're bordering on being inappropriate here? Or was it just reading too much into it because I had that bias from reading those bullet points in the guide? You know what I mean? But, I mean, I can't fault the romance comes out of nowhere, because the romance comes out of nowhere in every fucking one of these, to be fair. And, like, the trauma dumping, it's like, you can't really blame the characters for that, because, again, it's a 5-hour long... Each route's, well, technically, she played them in 3 to 4 hours. So, like, you can't really be like, oh, I mean, the game is kind of, like, sort of rushed, so there's going to be flaws in it. And maybe that's the difference. Going in knowing that and reading a review and having people say, the routes are really short and quick, and they're very, like, they only take, like, 3 hours. You're prepared for things are going to be rushed, and it's not going to be as fleshed out or in-depth, and we're not going to have the character building and stuff that we normally get. So going into it that way, I'm not so upset about other things that maybe, like, if you're playing the game for the first time, you're going in and then you're like, well, wait, they're trauma dumping on me. Everything's freaking rushed. And then I guess I can kind of understand that, where you would, like, maybe make those judgments if you didn't have a precursor knowing how quick and short it is. You know what I mean? Like, going in blind, you'd be like, wow, everything seems really rushed. The romance is kind of just shoved in there. It didn't really seem like there was romance. And they're trauma dumping. But, like, me knowing, oh, they're really short, I'm prepared when it happens. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's because the routes are only a couple of hours, so of course they're going to, like, do that. So, like, okay, yeah. Could it have been better if the route was longer and they fleshed things out more? Absolutely. But I'm not going to judge it for that, because it's like, it is what it is, I mean, I don't think he's my favorite character, but I really didn't think there was anything wrong with his route. You know what I mean? And, like, his obsessing over his sister is concerning, but in a completely different way than I think she made it out to be. So I didn't get that vibe. So I'm curious if you played this on your own before coming here and watching it. Did you get that vibe? Or even just watching it with me, were you getting a different vibe than me? Were you getting, like, a creepy, weird, like, oh my god, he's obsessed with... It's his sister. Or were you like, I don't really see it? I don't know. I mean, I know there were moments I was like, oh no. But again, I think the bias was preparing myself that it was going to be really inappropriate, and, like, a couple of lines were like, we're getting close to being icky here. But for the most part, overall, when you get to the end and you take a step back, you're like, yeah, you know what? There really wasn't... It wasn't like that. He was just oddly obsessed with protecting her and stuff. And, like, I think he just, from the trauma that he went through, overcompensated to protect his sister and was a little too clingy and weird. but like not in a creepy, like, oh, my sister's sexy kind of, you know what I mean? Like other routes where we've had it where our step brothers get a little weird with us and you're like, okay, it wasn't like that at all. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I didn't think it was bad at all. I was prepared for it to be a lot more like, a lot worse, but I thought it was pretty good overall. We'll do all of his other bad endings and then read all of the little thingamajiggers, the things, the things with the things, the reports next time. So I will see you next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.